I'm Tim Marshall. Welcome to R&B Showcase. Got a very special show. We got a special guest coming up. But before we get started, we want to introduce our co-host to you. Joining us now from 106.5 WPPM LP Philadelphia is Julian Seward.
Appreciate you, Tim. It's good to be here, man.
Tell us about your show, brother.
It's called My Bittersweet Philosophy. It's kind of pieces of myself, placed to a playlist.
All right. Kevin.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, brother.
Oh, thank you.
Kevin, I did want to mention Kevin's got his own show now on the FM.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, Kevin White.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is his first on-air experience, having his first show. Tell us about the show, Kev.
It's called The Crossover. It comes on between My Bittersweet Philosophy and the R&B Showcase. And I'm just trying to bridge that gap between both of you guys, you know?
And we're keeping it going. And, it's always another outlet to get local and live music out there.
Yes.
So I think that's really a great thing. All right, we have a special guest, a young man I've known for quite a number of years. Our special guest is an international musician. He tours all over the world. He's a singer, recording artist, and a studio owner, and also has a band out called Vintage Soul, and has his latest club single, I believe, is Get With You. And we're going to welcome to this R&B Showcase Stream World recording artist, DeVerne Williams. Give DeVerne a round of applause. Welcome to the show, DeVerne. How you doing, man?
Listen, I'm honored to be on the show today, man.
Well,
Thank you so much for having me.
We're glad to have you. I was talking about your latest single. Now, that's been out for a minute, though, Get With You. It's been out for a while. You have something else coming out?
Get With Me, Baby.
Get With Me, Baby. Get With Me, Baby. Okay. Who's your producer on that song?
Executive producer was Mr. Daryl Payne of my record company.
Okay.
But I basically I co-wrote the song with the Rebel.
Okay.
And I did all the music, and I had my band Vintage Soul. They're actually musicians that's playing on it.
So you are the producer on the track.
Absolutely.
That's a banging track, brother.
Thank you, man.
That's a hot track, man. You do really good with that club music. So it's been quite a while since I was trying to think how long it's been since I actually seen you. It's been about like almost 10 years, like 9 years, because that was 2015. Isn't that incredible? We
did that show at the Prince Theater.
Prince Theater in Philadelphia. It was supposed to be in Wilmington, Delaware. We actually changed venues overnight for some reason, but we were in a different venue the next day. But that was the Prince Music Theater in Philadelphia, Center City, Philadelphia, which is actually no longer here now. And
wow.
That was a night of beautiful voices there. We had Gene Carn, Jeannie Tracy, we had Sherry Payne of the Supremes, we had Sarah Dash from Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, and we had Miss Marilyn Marshall. We had Carol Williams, the First Lady of South Soul, on that show. I mean, wasn't that a great show, man?
That was a great show. We had such a great time playing for all the artists, and it was just really a magical experience to get to work with artists that have been doing this for a while, that have been on the charts, that have toured the world, and we just really had such a great time. And I especially remember working with your mom. She was such a quick study as far as telling the band what to do. And, she came in, she did her sound check. She told us what she wanted. And I'm so glad that I had everything together to have the band prepared, because she knew her music, and she knew exactly how she wanted it. And when we did that sound check, it was magical.
It really was. It really just came together, on his.
Yes.
And the thing about it is that she had brought her tracks with her, and she's going to play those tracks. I said, here's the sheet music. Try it with the band. You know what I mean? Try the song with the band. And she tried it. I said, you're not using them tracks.
No.
you're using that band, and it really was incredible. And that was actually her last concert that she did. Before she passed. Only a month after that, so that was really a special moment. And I also want to mention Melba Moore was also on that show, and
yes, she was.
That was really, really a great show, and that was really something that I will always remember. That particular night, it was just a great night, man.
It was really a great night.
And then now you're speaking of mothers, your mother was on the show too.
My mom was on the show. Williams, Carol Williams, First Lady of South Soul, and I played for her too with the band, and I always enjoy working with my mom. We don't get to work together that much, but when we do, it always just feels like a great feeling that I can share the stage with my mom, and growing up seeing her do this, and now I can actually be on the stage with her doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. It was really just an interesting thing. We're both on the show and both have parents that are on the show, and we're kind of like,
that something?
doing artist management and everything, making sure the stage is set right for them. And you kind of had to kind of switch the roles around.
Right.
So how was that for you? Like, how was it really working with your mother? I mean, what's it like?
Sometimes it's funny because sometimes we find ourselves like arguing with each other because it's like one role is like, from the mom point of view or the son point of view. And then, it's like the professional point of view of things. So, it can be a little rough sometimes, but it always turns out to be a great thing. It always works out. And we end up seeing eye to eye on things.
It was the same for me,
Yeah.
And people wonder why I call my mother Miss Marilyn. Why you call her Miss Marilyn, not mother? Because I'm being professional, and I refer to her as an artist. And even when I was out promoting her, doing radio promotion,
Right.
and things like that, I never said this is my mother's record. I wouldn't do it that way. I would do it very professionally because I always thought, you're playing that role as being the promoter or the radio promoter or the promoter on the show or, the radio host, whatever it was. You're in that position, keep it professional. And that's what I did. That's the way I did it. But it's kind of interesting. We both did the same. We both were doing that and we're on the same show. I thought it was pretty cool.
It was.
And I think, now speaking of South, Denise Montana was also, wasn't she part of that show?
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
So DeVerne, you played behind everybody, man.
We played behind everybody. Yeah. And, and actually, that show at the Prince Theater was an opportunity to get us to do a lot of other work with other artists because shortly after that show, Melba Moore hired me to play behind Melissa Morgan and Evelyn Champagne King. And, from there, we just kept, moving and working with more artists. And we ended up going to Japan with Melissa Morgan. We played at Billboard Live. And that was like, I couldn't believe it. It was, but I'm very thankful to that first show at the Prince Theater because that let people see what my band could do. And from there, it's been nothing but blessings.
Now, didn't you do two of those Golden Mike Awards? That was one. I think I hosted a couple, either one or two of those shows.
Yes.
I think I did two, but you did another one prior to that, didn't you? With Bobby Eli, did one with Bobby Eli?
Yes,
was on
I did.
That?
Yes, I did. That was the show that I actually helped him with the band, and from that show is why I ended up getting my band to be the band in the following year.
And we're glad you did because you got a killer band, man, and you're such a quality musician and arranger. And I'm just impressed that, in all of your talent, really, because you play all these different instruments.
Thank you so much.
Tell us, how did this come about? Let's talk about the instrumentation. You're an arranger. And then so how did this all come about, like all these instruments?
When I was a child, like 3 and 4 years old, my mom would be rehearsing in the basement for her shows. And, my dad was the trumpet player. He was the band leader. And I would just be sitting there on the steps watching them go through the songs. And I'd look at the bass player. I'd look at the guitar player. And I'd say, oh, wow, I'd like to play that instrument. So a lot of times when the musicians left, they would leave their instruments and I would go down in the basement by myself and just start playing with the instruments. And, from there, once I went to elementary school, I was in the music class and I started on guitar and I went from guitar to trumpet to drums to piano and then to bass. And, once I was in high school, I, was in all of the music classes. I was like the drummer for the violin class, the drummer for the chorus class. Everything in high school, all I remember, it was all about music. So, and then I went off to college and I graduated from Juilliard School of Music. So I got a degree in music.
Awesome.
And, that was, a point in my life that I realized that music is really what I want to do professionally. And that was really before I started singing. The singing thing happened at the end because I used to have these kid bands and I'd have my friends that I went to school with. They were good singers, but they kept leaving the band every time they got a boyfriend or their boyfriends told them that they couldn't do the show. So I said, you know what? I think I better learn how to sing.
Well, you had a great role model, with your mother, Carol Williams.
Yes.
So what was it like growing up with this legendary artist, First Lady of South Soul?
Yes, it was amazing. My mom was on the road a lot. She was touring and I got to grow up like my aunts and uncles were all people that she was at the label with, like Gloria Gaynor is my godmother. Oh, so many of these great artists from back in the 70s, they were like always around. And when I was growing up, I really didn't have like the James Brown records and more of the funk music. Most of the music that was in my household was the disco music and the sound of Philadelphia and the 3 Degrees and Harold Melvin's Blue Notes and Blue Magic. You know, so those were the things that my mom had, and I would I would listen to these records and I would study it, and I knew that I want to be able to make music like how these people created music.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about doing like the artist management role with your mom.
Yes.
I was wondering how doing that helps you now as a band leader or as a musician in your own career. How doing that with your mother helps you now?
Well, it taught me at an early age of how to negotiate business, how to deal with promoters, how to deal with club owners, restaurant owners, and basically I got experience at a young age with dealing with my mom's business. It taught me how to deal with what I have going on, because this business can be very tricky, and you can get an agent that may want to book you for something, and if you don't know to do the right things, to have the proper contracts and deposits ahead of time, and know we're not going on until we have our full money before we actually do the show. These things are all the things that I learned from, being raised around my mom and handling, her. When she went to Paris, I was the one that actually organized that. And we went over there for a week and she did a show, and, I set up everything and dealt with the promoters over there. And, so I kind of got hands-on. I'm very thankful for my mom of her being in the business, that it allowed me to see a lot of things that even if I was in the business, I wouldn't know it, if it wasn't for her.
Actually, kind of piggyback off of that, learning that many instruments as a kid, do you think that positively impacted your ways in different ways outside of just learning music? Did that translate into other areas of your life as a child?
Yes. Being, having a multi-talent of different instruments, I definitely know that it helps me out when I'm dealing with the band, I'm rehearsing the musicians, because a lot of times, we could be learning a cover song and the guitar player may not know the lick, and I may say, well, hey, let me see your guitar, and I'll play the lick, and then he can hear me playing it and then play it back like that.
Yeah.
And so that's top important. So I know that from doing that, it was able to guide me off to, just work with my musicians and get the music right, get the chord changes. And when I work with musicians that read music, of course, that's always a better thing. But, I use musicians that read and I use musicians that don't, because a lot of my musicians are also from the church. And, sometimes the church musicians, their ear is so good, they can hear something one time and duplicate it and have the feel and everything. So that's most of the time my choice, but some of the musicians, they read, and it's so much discipline that you have to have with being a musician. And I am thankful that I got to experience other instruments before I actually, because now most of the time I'm really just like playing the organ. I play in church on Sundays. And I sing and, sing with my band. And when I'm singing with the band, I don't really play any instruments because I'm more or less the front man.
Gotcha.
But everybody always laughs at me because they say, we could be doing a song and I could be singing the lead. And if somebody hits a wrong note or the guitar player gets off, I can single out right off the jump who made a mistake. And I could be singing lead, but I'll still turn around and say, like, I heard that.
do you ever find yourself finding the musicians like James Brown?
No, I'm not gonna find my guys. They're pretty cool, so I don't gotta find them. But you never know.
That's what you
maybe
sound like.
Down the line, I may have to.
To have that ear, though, is good. That's a gift, really. To have that.
Yeah.
To be able to point out exactly who's doing what. So
exactly,
you in full control, brother. It's a good thing.
Right.
Yes. So you play all styles of music. You play, jazz and gospel and R&B and dance
gospel,
and
dance
any
music.
preferred style, or you just like it all.
I think my most preferred is R&B.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where my roots came from. I started in the church with singing and stuff. So yeah, I would say R&B.
Mm-hmm.
But I've sometimes I do weddings where I get hired to perform, and you know how that goes. You got to know top 40.
Big band.
Sometimes you got to do a country song or a pop song.
Yeah.
So I'm never like, oh well, I don't want to sing that song because I don't like it. I already know that being the job that I take, whatever the song is, whether I like it or not, I'm gonna have to learn it.
Yeah, because you're out there on the road, and that's what they want to hear, and they're paying you to do it.
If they're paying, that's what you got to do to get paid. I'm gonna learn that song.
Well, that's a good thing to be able to be flexible enough to be able to do weddings and things like that in between your regular gigs, because you got to keep got to pay the bills.
Yes, sir.
That's a great thing. So. Like I said, do you have any preferred styles? So you play all styles of music, and you have a variety of different bands you work with. Who are some of the bands? Vintage Soul, is that just one of your bands?
Yes, I have DeVerne and the Vintage Soul. My most popular band now is Motown, The Sound of Detroit.
Okay.
And of course, that band is basically a tribute to all of the Motown music. And then we also have a tribute band called Vintage Soul Salutes Disco and Donna Summer.
Do all your bands, or is it the exact same musicians, or a core group that's the same and different people come in and out?
We have like the A team that are the main musicians. But basically, I'm sure in New York City, musicians rotate and work with different people because it's not like we're just in one situation and we're on tour and we're just working in one group. Right. I sing with other bands, and my other musicians they sing with other bands. So sometimes if the bass player is not available, I'll already have somebody on call that can cover a band. Right. But we do have our main A team that we do most of the events with. But the musicians are different from each band. Absolutely.
Got it.
Now, speaking of different bands, you work with a lot of different artists over there. And didn't you? Now, you said you worked with Carol Douglas. Now, did you do the PBS TV special with her?
Yes, I did. That's me playing the drums, and I was the MD for her that day.
Okay. I was going to say, tell us about that experience. Now, where was that taped at? Do you know?
That was in Asbury Park.
Okay.
Yeah, that was... there was so many great artists on that show. The Pointer Sisters, Carl Carlton was on that show.
Okay.
Martha Wash, the Hughes Corporation. I can't think of his name, but he has the song called "Swear to God."
Oh, that's Frankie Valli, right?
Yes.
Frankie Valli was on the. Oh, wow, he worked with all the heavyweights, huh?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a fun show, and that was a long time ago. That was like in 2005.
Okay.
And we had a great time, and I basically just had to go there, and I had the charts for Carol Douglas' song "Doctor's Orders," and we gave them the charts, and we did a quick rehearsal, and then it was time for the taping. And I actually played the drums on that one.
Oh, okay. All right. So you worked with quite an array of artists, Jeannie Tracy, remember we worked with her also?
Yes.
That was another artist we worked with. And then we mentioned Carol Douglas. And what's the young lady that's from Chic, Kevin? Alpha Anderson.
Yes.
Alpha Anderson. And then the one that does Ring My Bell. We also work with
Anita Ward.
Anita Ward, man. So how is speaking of these great, how's your mother doing? I mean, is she touring? What is she doing?
She's doing good. She's doing, she just had a show at the St. George Theater along with the Tramps, Earl Young's Tramps, and Hal Melvin's Blue Notes. There was a lot of different, France Jolie. There was a lot of big artists from the, disco era that were on that show. And And actually, the day that she did that show, I wasn't able to go with her, and she was a little upset with me because I had a private party that my band was doing. So, I set her up with her music and made sure she had everything, that she needed. And she went there and she did a great show.
That's out in Staten Island, right?
Yes, it is. The St. George Theater in Staten Island. Yep.
When we talk about experiences, something that I'm kind of backtracking a little bit, something that came to mind because I might not have this experience again. You went to Juilliard, and I always wondered, what was that audition process like? What was your mindset kind of going into that, and what would you do to prepare?
At that time, because music was so much like an ordinary thing, like I was one of those kids that when I went to school, I used to think that everybody's parents were entertainers and in the music business. So it was like, when I auditioned for Juilliard, it wasn't like, oh my God, it was just like, I just did it. And, once I got in, I started to be like, wow, I'm in the prestigious school. Oh, you know what it was? Is when I went to Marcellus. When I met him, because they had a special thing where they took the students to see him at Lincoln Center, and we went backstage to meet him. And that's when I realized, like, wow, this is a really honor that I was able to be, in this school.
And what other artists did you work with? You worked with so many over the years.
I always forget to, every interview, I always forget to tell people that I produced a song on Snoop Dogg's album.
Wow.
His Drop It Like It's Hot album in 2004. He did a song with 50 Cent called Oh No. And I produced some of the musical instruments on that track. And I actually am getting ready to get my platinum plaque because, as you know, anytime a musician or producer has their name on the credits of anything that goes platinum, you're entitled to get a...
Brother, congratulations.
Man.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Awesome.
So I can't wait to get that. I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Well deserved, man. You worked really hard on your instrumentation. I remember you were, and we worked with some crazy people like out, promoters and stuff, through the years, So, you really got to be able to, like you said, know what's going on and know what you want and get out there and do it and just kind of kill the noise, like don't listen to the noise, just go and stay focused, and go out and do your thing. Stay focused. And anytime then you're ready to go out on your stage, you're doing your thing, brother. So that's a great thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Now you switch to, from being the musician and the arranger and the producer to the recording artist. So what was that like becoming, deciding I want to be a recording artist now. I want to do this thing. So tell us about that experience for you.
I have recorded songs before. I had some deals on the table. When I was younger, I had a audition with Columbia Records, and I actually met Alicia Keys when she was working with Columbia Records.
Okay.
And, so I kind of had the experience then, but this time now it was like, I felt that it was time that I really dig into my original music and my production of my own music, because I've worked with so many other people and produced and collaborated songs, as a producer. But this was like, okay, I want to do my own music and I want my own vision. I want to include my band members on the music. And, since it's like a refreshing feeling, I feel like I'm fulfilling everything that I want to do musically in my life. And, we're just waiting for that #1 spot on the Billboard charts now.
So you signed to a label now, or?
I'm signed to Streamworld Entertainment record company, and it's out of Las Vegas. And, the executive producer of the owner of the label is Mr. Daryl Payne, which he is he's a legend in the music business. He had a lot of dance #1 records out in the 80s and 70s and 90s. And, he's ready to push back with some new music. And, we put some of the music out, but we held back to, properly do the promotions. And, you'll be hearing more of my music very soon.
Like you said, it's all about that promotion, though. You got getting that stuff out there, and "Get With Me, Baby" was, I guess, the first single that you put out for that project, and you did another couple of singles, and you did some collaborations with the Rebels. So tell us about working with this young man.
Well, I just want to also say rest in peace to my little brother, the Rebel, which his name is Manny. He passed away recently.
Our condolences to you for that, by the way. We want to give you our condolences.
Thank you. Thank you so much. He was with me in Vegas when we recorded the songs. I had a song with him called Oh Baby that's scheduled to come out. We have a video for that song.
Okay.
And he basically helped me he co-wrote Get With Me Baby and Take the Job and Oh Baby. And you know, it was a great collaboration of us working together, and I collaborated on his music too because he was signed to the label, and he has a song that I think you've been playing called Cup of Tea.
Yeah, I remember that.
And,
Cup of Tea.
Yeah, I produced that along with Mr. Daryl Payne and some of my band musicians played on that.
He's got a great voice. He sang a ballad too that he had out.
Yes,
he's got kind of that soulful kind of voice. You know,
called The Reason.
Yes. Yeah, I was listening to that the other day. I was amazed at his vocal quality of his voice, you know?
Yeah, he was quite an amazing vocalist.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So, okay, well, I'm glad we had a chance to talk about him, you know, and we'll talk a little bit further about that. But, you know, you've been in the game for a while, and you've been doing this for a while. What advice can you give now to those that want to do what you're doing?
Stay humble. You must stay focused. And you have to prepare yourself for the ups and downs of this music business. You know, if it's really in your heart and it's really what you want, you know, stay true to what's in you and how you want to make music. And, you know, be as creative as you can. Be as creative as you can with your music. And, you know, just push towards the top. Keep going. Don't let anything hold you back. Just keep going like you're running up a mountain. If it's what you really want, you'll never stop going towards it. Doesn't matter how old you are. You just got to stay at it. And if you really love it, you will be blessed at the end. And I can say that I've been blessed throughout the years.
Now you said no matter how old you are, you're referring to artists that still want to do it at an older person that still wants to do music. When you said it doesn't matter how old you are, you know. I agree with you. You know, I always tell artists, I say, you know, if you want to do something, do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a market out there for you. You know,
that's right. Music, there's somebody out there that's going to support you, that will feel your music and want to support you.
That's a great thing. Well, man, we certainly appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule because, you know, I know you're on the road. You had a gig today. I think you did church and then you had a gig after church, right? I did church.
I did a gig. I had to set the band equipment up. It's been a pretty, and you know what? When I was driving home, I said, "Oh my goodness, I better start driving faster because I got to get home and get myself ready for this interview." But I made it.
we appreciate you. So, do you have another gig tonight? Or are you done for the night? That's it?
Oh no, I'm actually some friends of mine. There's an open mic at a place we go to called Cafe Oasis, where all the musicians get together and do a jam session. But I don't think I'm gonna go tonight.
That's traditional for Sunday night. That Sunday night jam session that they do. I think David Brandon from the Spinners does one too, right? Doesn't he?
Right.
Yes, that's a good thing.
See that?
Yep. That's a good thing. So get some rest, brother. And it's really
Thank
good.
You so much.
Really good to see you. I appreciate you. Like I said, taking your time out. Finally got you on here. Finally got you on the television show, man. And so tell us about your next project. What do you got coming next that we can?
Right now, we're getting ready to release all my music. We're gonna do a re-release on "Get With Me, Baby" and the other songs, and the album is getting ready to follow behind. So, you know, I have a website. All my bands are up online. Motown, The Sound of Detroit, DeVerne and the Vintage Soul, and Vintage Soul Salutes Disco and Donna Summer, as well as my tribute bands. And then you can follow my original music also online under DeVerne Williams.
Sounds great, brother. Good having you here.
Yes.
Please say hello to Mr. Daryl Payne from me.
I definitely will.
And please say hello to Miss Carol Williams, the first lady of South Soul Records, man. So we appreciate you again.
And listen, thank you so much for supporting Get With Me, Baby. I've had so many people tell me that they've heard it playing on the radio in Philadelphia. So I'm so thankful to you for keeping my records pushing and keeping promoting me. I appreciate it. Listen, when I go on the tour, I'm coming to get you, big bro.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, man. Let's give DeVerne a round of applause and thank him again for being part of the show. DeVerne Williams. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
And I want to thank my co-host, Mr. Julian Seward. Thanks, Julian.
Oh, thank you as always.
And Kevin White from The Crossover Show.
Thank you, Tim.
And I'm Tim Marshall, and thank you for joining us for R&B Showcase.